Hi, this is Xbone 1975 and welcome to my second episode of Cock in Space.
Docking successful.
I'm obviously going to call this one Moorcock, considering the name of this station. Now, this is my second episode. In the first episode I grabbed a hauler and flew to Slough Station. That was the first thing I wanted to do when I got on this game. Now I've played for a few more hours, got a little bit further along, and I'm going to go through the whys and wherefores. What I've been doing is basically doing bulletin board messages and flying around a group of independent stations near Slough. Now I've ditched the hauler for a heavily upgraded Eagle, and this is pretty much why I ditched the hauler. This is me and my Eagle attacking an unshielded hauler, and look how quickly the poor soul goes down. I didn't feel secure in the hauler anymore. It doesn't have the greatest amount of weapons, it's got one small hardpoint, and I didn't even bother equipping a weapon. I figured I wasn't going to fight back, I was just going to run. And running did okay, but at some point you want to turn and fight. So I decided to ditch the hauler and go back to the Eagle, but I upgraded it somewhat. Now I fitted 3 multi-cannons. The reason for this is it's very difficult on Xbox One controller to set up fire groups. Originally I had 2 pulse lasers and a cannon, but I ended up ditching that for 3 multi-cannons because I found it awkward switching fire group in the middle of combat. And that meant I couldn't have my kill warrant scanner on one trigger and my guns on the other trigger. So having all the same weapons kind of helps me out in that regard. Now as to the other components, you can see I've got an A-grade power distributor, and it's a massive thanks to the guys on the Reddit forums and the guys who have been playing this game for a long time on PC. If you want to buy a ship and you want to upgrade it, make sure you upgrade the power distributor. It's the most important thing on the ship, I guarantee you. And also, if you're looking at components, A's the best, E's the worst, but D is lightweight and B is shielded. So B will be tougher but heavier components, and D will be your lightweight components. So if you want to make yourself fast, a lot of D grade components is very good. And if you took a look at when I was outfitting, I basically have an A grade power distributor, a C grade power core, and the rest is D grade stuff. So my Eagle is quite fast, which helps you out in a pinch. Now as you can see, all I'm doing is picking up messages on bulletin boards, doing either small trade runs with my 4 cargo hold, or I'm doing combat missions where I'm hunting for people. It's keeping me in money and I'm progressing quite well. I'm at the point where I'm thinking about upgrading my ship, but I looked at the Viper and thought, really I want to save my bucks and get something like a Cobra or maybe the Diamondback Scout as my next ship. But I've had fun with my 3 multi-cannons ripping into other ships. This is a protracted combat I had with a Cobra that tried to interdict me. Now if you don't know what interdicting is, it's basically someone trying to mug you. So they pull you out of Super Cruise just so they can attack you. Sometimes the System Authority vessels pulling you out of Super Cruise to scan you. And unfortunately that happened to me when I was carrying illegal cargo and I got fined £5 grand. So it hasn't been all plain sailing out here. In fact, that was one of the last missions I flew with my hauler. So I was really heavily fined for carrying illegal weapons. But, you know, it was worth a try. It would have made me some money if I got through. Now, I'm enjoying flying around from these independent systems, but there's a reason I'm flying around the independent. And that's because I don't want to make the decision for my friends which faction to join. I don't want to say Federation and find that other players, other friends of mine that come on this game eventually want to fly with the Empire because the Empire has nicer ship unlocks. So I plan to stay out of the main factions, fly around these independents, and I'm quite happy doing that because it's quieter out in this deep space area, and I've pretty much got these 5 or 6 systems to myself. I'm building up my reputation quite nicely. I occasionally see another player if I dip further in, but I'm quite happy out here in the deep space section at the moment. Until I got some nicer ships, then I might go exploring a bit deeper in. Plus, I've got some really nice little bouncing around places. And eventually, the aim is to get a Type 6 or a Type 7 hauler and do some commodity trading between these places where I've already got up a reputation. That's kind of the idea. This, what you're watching now, this was probably the biggest ship I've tackled so far in my Eagle, which is an ass. I actually came head to head with this thing at one point and thought I was going to crash into it. And at that point I realised that the medium size is still quite big. And with that explosion, that's a good place to leave this episode. And that's all for this episode. Thank you very much for watching.